that you're doing for the first time, and also with your family background and your thought process, this may be tough for you. And it was a tough for us. So on one side you are seeing the money that you are getting acquired for good valuations. On the other side you are saying, oh come on, and from tomorrow then you have to open up your own shop and again search for the chairs and again look for the best calling plans in the telephones, and then that's the reality for tomorrow, and then you are in the middle of that. But then while you are diluting yourself, right, attracting more investors. I mean, getting 250,000 on one side is good because you have got money in the bank. On the other side, you are actually cut your one limb, right, because you have asked somebody else to take that limb. And then, and that way, you end up with all your limbs gone, and then you are saying, oh, now actually I'm in a minority. Right? I'm growing. It's like, I'm growing my cake. I know I'm growing my cake, but at the same point of time, what's an authority that I have to decide when to cut it? Then you are growing as a group. So I think it's a mindset, and I think that mindset somebody has to get in, because venture funded company, in addition to your aspirations, technological aspirations, is all about money. So you have to be very clear saying that I'm here in the money making business. So I am putting $10, I should get $100 at the end of X number of years. I get that money and just walk off without even looking at it. So if such kind of a dry attitude one can develop, and I think that get developed over a period of time. I mean, there are so many nice examples. People have done that successfully, 10 times, 100 times successfully than even I done. But then I think that's interesting. I think it's a worth roller coaster ride to go through, and you feel good at the end of the day saying that you have created it. But value you have now, it's a Roche Diagnostics. So Roche is still using Bioimagine name for a while, and the way Hotmail is now Outlook.com, I think it's your identity is lost. So if somebody is ready to walk away with this reality that your identity is going to get lost, I think venture funded, and that's where I am now aspiring for this company, saying that now one company got acquired, so the second company should now walk the IPO route, because there are the two aspirations any entrepreneur can have, and I think it's good that my first company got acquired, because now the second one that I will run for a longer time is going to be in IPO side. So that's the optimism everybody can live with for waking up next day morning.
Can you please share some global biotechnology space and what is India's currently positioned at, and what kind of biotechnology opportunities India as a 21st century are available, and how it can be further taken for the next? Because normally any family, they say either my son should be doctor or engineer. So I mean, in that perspective, if you look at that, education is very critical in our country, and then how these opportunities are available for many people.
So, really speaking, the research is one of the very good area that one can look into. Unfortunately, many of the research hubs are still in the Western world. So even if you look at the likes of India, you have very few examples that you count in biotechnology leadership space, including say Biocon or even Reddy's Labs and Piramal Group. But at the same point of time, if you are looking at the diagnostic side of it, being a doctor, as a doctor, I think there are lots of avenues in India, because there are a lot of patients, right? I mean, it's a huge population. So more population, you have more opportunities, not only in terms of the money side of it, but I think in terms of the experience, because then the doctor here is going to have more exposure in terms of the variety of the test cases in terms of the patient conditions. So there are a lot of avenues in terms of the global map. I think not only in biotech or not only in IT, I think I personally feel that this country has to invest in the core values, in creating the intellectual properties, than only creating only the number game in terms of how many people are working for you, and 225,000 people with 100,000 people with Java and 50,000 in .NET. I mean, this kind of a quantification is really doesn't make any sense, because more people you have got more issues to manage them. Like a lot of HR issues and a lot of other things. So it's better you run with a 10 people team and make it an exciting product which has a differentiation. I think you can make multiple values. And I really don't know, I mean, if our IT leaders are not going to educate this country, I really don't know who is going to do that. I mean, many times, I mean, again, maybe a little bit of change of topic, but many times I feel that if our politicians are not going to look at how the infrastructure of the city is to be built, that you can see one rainy day and all the cars are out, and it's like complete traffic jam. So that's what is happening. I mean, how are we going to imbibe the values of entrepreneurship in the newer generation? How can we make sure that every alternate kid coming from the colleges is aspiring to be, the likes of Steve Jobs of tomorrow, Bill Gates of tomorrow. And again, I'm specifically not using the Indian names right now because I think we need to create the Amazons and Googles in this country. And the moment that get created, everybody here running the small shops is going to have a lot of benefits because we can then straight away compete with, then there is no topic of outsourcing, there is no topic of patriotism, there is no topic of offshoring. Because today we are saying that we are superpower in software, right? I mean, then that superpower, don't apply it for services. If you are a superpower, create your own product so that you have your own niche. People will come back to you. They will come back to you, negotiate very high rates, and you don't need to be worried about the likes of China and Vietnam, where you are talking about, oh, they are doing for $10, they are doing for $20. How is that going to work? I mean, that's my personal feel, and I would love to actually mentor the kids even at the college levels who come out, the way the kids come out from the Stanford and Harvard with a lot of aspirations. I mean, they will never think that I have to join a company. They will always say, okay, what kind of funding you can do? I mean, that's kind of a spark we require.
Vishwas, we have a good mentor. We can think on this lines. This is a fantastic thing to have on to try if that works, and we can create more talented kids from Pune city. That will be the best thing to happen. Now coming to more exciting, maybe he started his another role as a Marathi film producer and bagged many awards. You must have seen this. It's a fantastic film. I've seen 3 times, and really I love that the whole thing. Now I request you to just
play the
and let him share now what are the challenges in making films. I know people are always attracted to that, being such a technology driven. I think Avi, you should start. You should do one robo kind of film in Marathi.
और अब बारी है सबसे बड़े राष्ट्रीय फिल्म पुरस्कार की। मराठी फिल्म देओल, निर्माता अभिजीत धोलाप, निर्देशक उमेश विनायक कुलकर्णी, दोनों को स्वर्ण कमल। सबसे पहले मंच पर अभिजीत धोलाप। और अब मंच पर उमेश विनायक कुलकर्णी।
For its penetrative account of the politics involved in the commercialization of religion in India through an authentic depiction of village life.
Can you just share a small, what went through your mind when you got this? I think after Marathi film, Shwas, you got this is the first film, you get a national recognition.
So it was fantastic because I got into this new area, again a venture come adventure, and again many people advised me against it. Again I went through my turmoil of thought process, and but I wanted to also get into consumer market. Last 17 years in the same space of technology, and 2 ventures, one got acquired, second I started. So I know what that technology space works. I was witnessing the things happening in India, the retail market growing, so much of population, and how can we actually leverage that to the benefit. But whole of my businesses were always focused on the export-oriented market. So though you can see a good dollar to rupee conversion, you still see if you still have a number of 1.2 billion population, which is actually going to be focusing on some of your products. I think that's awesome. I mean, that's like more like a total level of market, or even the part of it. So from that perspective, I was looking at diversifying into Indian market. So I was looking at some of the options, and one of the options was entertainment. So in addition to the hospitality and infrastructure, I was looking at the entertainment. And I was not very keen about it because I really don't have any background of that sort. I mean, coming from Numali, where you don't get selected in your dramas in those days, unless until you are like very good looking or very nice, So nobody took me in the drama. So I was always like audience clapping for somebody else. And Anand Bhatti was in my class. So, such a nice person sitting next to you is like, advantage and disadvantage. I mean, because then he was always like, the best choice. And we were always somebody who will clap, right? So in other words, there was no way, any connection to this industry. But then I felt that, if I get a good opportunity, I can look at it. But actually at the same point of time, I was looking at investing in some of the hotels. So that was the area that I was going through for the consumer market. And in 2009, I I got into discussions with Umesh Kulkarni and Girish Kulkarni.